All right. Well, welcome back to Activation Nation. I am so excited to be here and am joined by one of our amazing consultants, Dawn Bures. Dawn, did I say that right? I'm always a little worried I'm pronouncing your last name
It's
wrong.
really close. That was really close.
Oh,
It's Burish. You have to
Burish,
remember,
the
I'm from
S.
South Dakota, where it's very cold. So it's Burish.
It's like freezing all the time. Speaking of, Dawn just had, she is one of our amazing Jeep earners and had her cold experience today in her brand new Jeep that she just told me about, which is really fun. Maybe she'll mention a little bit more about that here in a minute, but we are excited to have you here. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about, we're going to kind of talk about momentum today, which is a tough thing. It's a hard thing to keep it going, stay motivated, all with all the things in life, right? Like being consistent
Hmm.
and momentum is just kind of a tough thing sometimes. It really plays into every facet of our lives, and especially business, which of course is where we're going to do most of our focus today. But welcome, Dawn, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just jump in. We want to give our listeners all the stuff today and really give everyone a lot that they can take with during these months of busyness, which I'm discovering just continues on through 12 months of the year. We keep saying
Yes.
months of busy, and I don't know when that ends. I haven't figured that out yet, but especially as a mom and working and all the things. So hopefully we want to give our listeners just something to really take away today and feel like, okay, I can do that. I can keep the momentum going. So let's start with, will you just tell us how, because I know you're so good at this and really fantastic with your team. What have you done to really build momentum during those kind of harder times or times in your life where you felt like it's been challenging and sometimes others tend to pull back, or even you feel personally like you want to pull back but don't want to? What do you feel like has really helped you to stay focused and just stay in action when you want to coast?
Yeah, I think that having a strong connection to your goals, knowing what you're really setting out to do, and it might be short term goals, it might be long term goals, goals for the year, goals for the month or the quarter, or however you break it down, staying really attached to those and knowing that to achieve the outcome, you have to put in the work. I have never really had the luxury to coast in my life, so momentum just sort of comes naturally to me. I had my first baby in high school and didn't get my bachelor's degree until I was 29 with 3 kids and married. And so all of that, I think real life, just like you mentioned, we're busy as moms and with our jobs and all the things, but all of that can translate into your business too, right? So just like
Absolutely.
you have personal goals, you have business goals, and how your life, all the skills you gain in your everyday life and running your house and helping to manage your family and all of that, it all transfers into your business truly.
Absolutely. So you made a comment about staying tied to your goals. What just some advice would you give? Like, how did you set goals for yourself that, and you mentioned breaking them down, having big goals, but also having some of those small goals, breaking them down. But how did you set goals that you'd be able to stay tied to? Because I think it kind of really relates to, we talk a lot about, having a vision or having your why, for
Hmm.
lack of a better term, and I think that's so important to each individual, and having really digging deep of what are my goals and why is that my goal, to be able to stay attached to it, right? Have it be important. So what are, if you don't mind sharing, like what was maybe a goal that you started out with, maybe in starting in this business, that you feel like really drove you or kind of kept you in it until you hit that?
Well, I think all along the way your business has different goals.
Yeah.
Maybe in the beginning it's earning enough money to pay for the products that your family wants to use. What goal is it going to be to get you there to achieve that, right? And then it becomes a goal of like, Sometimes it's the next incentive. So right now, the tennis shoes, or we just earned Alaska, getting to Africa, Thailand. So a lot of times goals are tried around those incentives. And I appreciate those incentives because that gives us something to also help encourage our team to achieve those incentives along with us, and
Mhm.
everybody kind of rowing the boat together, achieving the goals together. That's what helps us achieve those big goals. I'm a big goal girl, right? Like I want to be a presidential. I don't want to just get to EC 1, 2, 3 and stay there. Like I want to get to the top, you know? I want to have one of the fastest growing teams. And so for me, it's a matter of okay, what is that goal? I write it down and I put it everywhere. Just today, I bought a journal to keep in my purse because I don't want to just rely on, the one journal I have at home, whatever. I wanted something that would be with me all the time so that when another thought, another, who can I help, another, ooh, I want this or I want that, like physical things, I can write it down. And it was amazing, when I was uh, qualifying for my life venture, which is a 6-month qualification period. I qualified for that in March. In April, I was going through an old vision book, an old kind of journal where I had put a bunch of stuff years ago. I'm talking like 6, 8 years ago. And I had put that away and not looked at it for years. And I was flipping through it in April after having achieved my life venture. And I randomly turned the page and there was a white Jeep. I mean, that's
You're like,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah. And now there's a white Jeep in my garage, And so I had a journal for years too of a certain dollar amount that I wanted to earn every single month. And after I earned that, I months later looked through that journal and there it was too, like that dollar amount that I wanted to earn per month. So I'm a big believer in finding that goal, writing it down, and then I call it backing into the goal. Say your goal is executive one. EC1 is your goal. That's 80,000 a month. How are you going to get to 80,000 a month, right? So we're going to tell the world, we're going to put that everywhere, EC1, 80,000 a month. And then finding the way to get there becomes a lot easier when you're super attached to the goal and you
Mhm.
can help other people attach to their big goals too.
No, I love that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have had an idea, had a thought, something, that I'm like, oh, or hear something that I think to myself, I'll remember that because I found it so
Right.
to be so profound, right? Or it really hit me. If I don't write it down 20, 30 minutes later, it's gone. And I can't tell
For
you how
sure.
many times I have written something like that down and thought, I'm so glad. Oh, yes, I love that. I'm so glad I wrote it down. And how many times I haven't, and then went, crap, I wish I could
Yeah.
remember. So I love that idea of just like have a notebook, throw it in your purse, throw it in your bag, have the notes app on your phone, whatever works the best for you, right? But like
Right.
jot those things down because we think we won't forget them, but we do. Um,
Yeah.
so that's one thing that I think is so beneficial and so helpful. What other habits or really specific like routines or have you done for yourself and even for your team or others to help keep moving forward and building and focusing on those goals that you're setting for yourself?
Right. I mean, the luxury of being an executive consultant or presidential or any place in the business really that affords you this to work solely LifeVantage, right? Like there is nobody telling me I have to be anywhere at 8 o'clock in the morning and I have to stay there until 5 o'clock at night. There's nobody telling me I have to work 5 days a week, and having respect for yourself and accountability to yourself is so important. And for me, I have a lot of non negotiables.
Mm,
I get up early. I get up and I work out early because I'm a representation of my LifeVantage business. So the way I present myself is important to me. I want to be somebody that's seen as a leader. I want to be somebody that's seen as somebody that others want to follow.
mhm,
So getting up, getting out of bed early in the morning, before anybody else in my house does is important to me. That movement sets the tone for my day. While I'm working out, I have reminders all over my gym of the ranks I want to achieve and global expansion and all of these things. So for me, it's that visual reminder, but it's the moving my body that makes it be this muscle memory that it's just, your body doesn't forget, your mind doesn't forget. It's like going to your job at 8 o'clock, turning on the lights, starting your day, firing up your computer. It's exactly what I'm doing. It's just I'm my own boss, and so I'm the one making those big hard moves for myself. And other non-negotiable things is knowing my team's goals and where they're at with those goals. So if I know somebody wants to hit MC1 in the month of June, helping them track those numbers and figuring out how we're going to get to that 10,000 in the month of June, that's non-negotiable for me. If Mindy, you're on my team and you tell me what your goal is, it's my job to hold you accountable to that goal and to help you achieve it. You're not on your own. We're working together. Also, setting alarms and deadlines in my phone on the 15th, the 20th, the 25th after subscriptions run, and checking in on, failed subscriptions, checking in on rank advancement, checking in on gem tiers. That's all a part of our job to help other people achieve, those things in their businesses too. So those things are all really non-negotiable for me. The other thing I would say that has really led to some success in our business is speed and acting with urgency. If somebody wants a sample, they're getting delivered that day. If somebody wants more information, it's happening that minute. If, if questions need answered, I'm like asking everybody as fast as possible to get those questions answered, because working with speed and momentum shows a lot of respect and excitement for your business, which creates respect and excitement from the receiver, right? This morning, I had somebody, I mean, I think it was like late last night, honestly, I got a message asking for samples. I just got into messages and promised her samples. By the time I was done with the conversation, she placed an order,
Yeah.
and so it's just like acting with that urgency because that makes it seem urgent on their end too. That's led to success in our business.
Well, and I think we're such a instant gratification kind in that
For
so,
sure.
so much of that space, which is so good and so bad. But the one thing that I think that it really shows is your commitment, right? And sometimes when we tend to, when we're interested in something, we've got something on our mind, and if then time lapses, we tend to forget about it. And so
Yeah.
like for you to like that responding quickly and getting them a sample, it keeps that like you said, urgency, or it keeps it on their mind. Oh yeah, I wanted to try this. Oh, and here it is. I get to try it. I'm excited about it,
Hmm.
because you're getting it to them when they're excited and when they're interested in
Absolutely.
having those questions. So I love that. I think that is so important. And it's so funny, the you mentioned you don't have a boss, you don't have anyone telling you, and that is such a huge blessing and amazing thing, and such a great thing about this business. But it can also be challenging because, like you
Yeah.
said, I don't have to be. And so I love the idea that you mentioned of just having those non negotiables, creating a routine and
Hmm.
creating a space where you go, okay, these are the things that I absolutely do. I make space for myself and what I need and what works the best for me. And I make space for my team and making sure that they feel taken care of and supported and loved. And then you're leading
Yeah,
by
for sure.
example. And so then they do the same, right? It's kind of you tend to do what you've learned. So I think that's it just shows so much great leadership. All right,
Thank
let's
you.
shift a tiny bit. And you kind of mentioned a little bit about this, keeping in that good, like using that muscle memory of you're moving your body, you're exercising, and you're looking at some of your goals or your visions, it's some of the things that you have in mind, right? And I think that this really ties into that a bit. But shifting your mindset. And sometimes we get into we all do it and it happens to everyone, but we can get frustrated or get into these like negative spaces. And sometimes we even tend to go, "Oh, okay, I can't right now because I need to wait until X, and
Hmm.
then I'll be able to, or then I can't start working out now, but when this happens, then I can start going to we do it all the time. We tell ourselves stories, and everybody does it. So sometimes we are waiting for those ideal conditions, and we create them for ourselves, right? So how have you yourself feel like you have gotten through some of those things and pushed through and just created consistency as a leader and helped others as you hear? Because I'm guessing that as a leader, you probably hear that a lot from people. Oh, I can't right now because, or, I'm waiting until this. How do you as a leader
Hmm.
help people get out of that headspace?
Well, I think as a leader, you have to make sure you're staying out of that headspace because sometimes
Yes,
misery loves company. And
absolutely.
sometimes it's easy to just agree with somebody
Yeah,
that's saying, I'll start on Monday, the person that's always going to start going to the gym on Monday,
yeah.
right? Um, so holding yourself accountable, number one, first and foremost, for not kind of going down that road with somebody. And number two, knowing people's goals so that you can attach or disattach, if that's a word, them from that so
Yeah.
that, okay, yeah, but you told me you're going to be a diamond seller in June and or July or whatever month and it's not looking like that right now because you haven't put in the work.
Yeah.
So if we want to become a diamond seller, we have to put in the work. So I think like having that clear goal is just so very important, and then knowing people's clear goals so that we can hold each other accountable. I think that that is like number one, first and foremost. And number two, I really think momentum is a choice. And I will be the first to remind people of that. Like, we cannot count on LifeVantage launching a new product every month. We cannot and do not need to count on LifeVantage running promotions. We cannot count on LifeVantage throwing events for us every single month. We have to be the one creating the momentum.
Mhm.
So whatever that is for you and your team, and understanding what motivates people truly, because while I might be motivated by a paycheck, you might be motivated by recognition, and others might be motivated by the science. And we all have a different motivator, but understanding what motivates the person you're trying to help helps them stay attached to their goal and creates that momentum together.
Oh, so a lot of listening is what I'm hearing, and
A lot of
understanding.
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Dawn, thank you so much for everything that you shared. Of course, we invited you to join us because you're a fantastic leader and the success that you've had. And, it goes to show a lot of the things that you shared and the things that you really strive to do with your team and being the example. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do really is just leading by example. So
Yeah.
you mentioned at the beginning, so I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here,
Ooh.
but I know this was not, she doesn't know about this. I'm going to just kind of spring a surprise on her. But you mentioned a little bit in the beginning about putting your goals out there, deciding on something and then just really putting it out there and then going for it. So tell us, what is your big next goal? I know presidential you mentioned, but what, like, beyond that, what is like the thing that you're striving for, or what are the steps that you're taking to get to that big goal?
Well, presidential is always going to be a goal until that
Yes.
happens. I have that written everywhere. To get there, it's going to be helping a lot of people get to executive. And so I think identifying those next upcoming executive leaders is one of my biggest goals right now. And I'm working with somebody right now that has executive written all over her, and she's just excited to get there. So that's a huge goal for me, is helping those next executives move into this level of their leadership and in their business to have the blessings that come along with being an executive leader. That's what I want for our team and anybody that wants that too. So that's number one. Hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have that executive leader on our team and we'll really celebrate her because that's just something to celebrate together.
For sure.
I think, another big goal for me is, giving my husband the option to sell his business. That would be
Nice.
wonderful and beautiful for our family. He has worked really hard to provide us a beautiful life for so many years. And I would love to give him, the opportunity to sell that business and do whatever he wants. Be home with me maybe for a little while until that drives me crazy, but like those are my big goals, and there's lots of little things in between.
Yeah.
I have vision boards hanging all over my house, and it's just, it's things like taking trips and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's helping those other people achieve those goals. And by the end of the year, I'd like to have, 3, 4 executive leaders on our team and hopefully hit EC4 this year. Presidential would be amazing, and that's looking like a very big, hairy, audacious goal at this point in the year. But I also think we have 6 months left of the year,
Yeah.
and anytime you break down a goal and you look at like, hey, what more can we do? Chunking away at it every single month is what we're going to do to get
Absolutely. Well, I have the utmost confidence that you will for sure hit
there.
EC4. And I'm putting presidential out there, right? Presidential, it's
Okay,
out
well,
there.
thank
So,
you. I appreciate
well,
it. Thank you.
Dawn, again, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that everyone is able to listen to this, take notes, get that small notebook, put it in your bag, whatever works, and have huge goals. It's okay to have huge goals. And as you learned today and heard from Dawn, you can see her success that it works. It's great to have big goals
Mm,
and just really drive for it. And we decide what kind of speed we're going to run at or drive at, and how fast we're going to let that momentum take us. So, Dawn, thank you so much for
yes.
joining us. And I look forward to seeing you in the office as we celebrate your new ECs this year, right?
Yes, me
Okay.
too. Thank you so much.
All right, Dawn, thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for joining in. And we'll see you next week for our next Activation Nation.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Activation Nation podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for future episodes and updates, and share with a friend or prospect that you think could benefit from today's conversation. Check the episode description for any links or disclaimers, and we'll see you next week for another episode. And now, the legal stuff. Since the beginning of the program in 2018, approximately 230 consultants have earned the My LifeVenture Award by achieving EC2 and maintaining that rank for 6 consecutive months within the 18 months of advancing to EC2. The average number of active consultants over this period of time is 62,407. The sales earnings disclosed are potential gross earnings and do not account for expenses incurred in building a business. The average 12-month earnings of a typical U.S. consultant who earned in 2024 are $683. LifeVantage does not guarantee any income or rank success. A consultant's earnings will depend on individual diligence, work effort, and market conditions. Visit the LifeVantage Income Disclosure Statement for more information. Of the 60,000 active LifeVantage consultants, approximately 250 earn company trips.